Okay, we are in the book of Samuel, and please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. Also, hit the bell for notifications, comment, like, do whatever you need to bring it high in your YouTube ratings, and that way you'll never miss a class. Thank you. We're on 22, Shmuel of 22:12. What happened was that Saul was told that the Kohen Gadol from Nob helped out David by giving him food and provisions. He was told this by Doeg, and where we left off was that the king had sent to meet up with Achimelech to ask him what was going on. So, Vayomer Shaul, that's 12. Vayomer Shaul. So Shmuel said, Shema na ben Achituv. He doesn't even show respect. He says, listen now, or please listen, the son of Achituv. Instead of calling him Achimelech, which would be his name, or even by the title Achimelech ben Achituv, which would be like when your mother would say to you, John Smith, come here now. Full name. Wow. Okay. So Vayomer, and he said, Hineni bani, Hineni Adoni. Here I am, my master, which Hineni normally is a language of, I am ready and prepared. I am ready and prepared to do your bidding. That's what it normally means.
Oh,
okay. So the Malbim says Ben Achituv, and he comments on what I was just saying. Karu Cain lives Oto. He calls him this as a way to denigrate him. And also to include his father in the rebellion. So he's not only saying you're the rebellious person, but also your father is part of the rebellion. That's how the Malbim understands it. I'm not sure if the father was alive or not alive, but he's picking on the father also. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But he still thinks it's part of a conspiracy.
Oh, I understand.
Not just rebellion, conspiracy.
What would be the practical difference between the two names? Of conspiracy and rebellion.
It's a greater organized effort. He's more paranoid than you think. That's why he goes straight to conspiracy instead of rebellion. Rebellion is a simple condition. Conspiracy is a kind of a condition. So it shows his
conspiracy before the conspiracy will be what precedes the rebellion.
I don't know it doesn't matter which precedes. It's just a separate path. It involves more people. It's more nefarious. A conspiracy.
Okay.
Than a mere rebellion. Anybody can rebel. The French Revolution was a rebellion, but it wasn't a conspiracy, I don't think.
I'm not sure if we're making such a difference.
It shows
what I'm saying is in the Hebrew, I'm not sure that marad would make such a difference.
Yeah, but in other words, he refers to David as the son of Jesse. He refers to this one as somebody else's son. He's putting families together against him. In his mind, he's getting little.
No, again, what I would call somebody by their last name or the son of, that is I'm denigrating the person in front of me. I'm saying that you're nothing by yourself. You're no name. I'm denigrating you. It would be, you see, the crazy thing is today we in schools they'll call you by your last name. Cause just
Mr. somebody or Miss
or just Neville. In my case, Neville, right? So they'll just say Neville, and the kids will do that. Why? Because this, and certainly in the old days, but the same thing as applies in the Hebrew school, in the Jewish schools today. There's a lot of Shlomos around. So if you yell Shlomo,
or a lot of Mendels,
or a lot of Baruchs, or a lot of whatever, it would be like in the secular world when they used to say Bob.
Yeah, but there's still no Mr. ahead of it, right?
Right. No. So there was, instead of saying Bob, you would say use the last name. So here also using, but so today today it doesn't have the same connotation, but in those days, we don't have a last name in these days. We don't have a last name. The last name is son of whoever you are. So that's your last name. And so if you want to address the person properly, so then you would say, Achitov, the son of Achimelch, the son of Achitov. That's the proper. Okay, if you want to be friendly with him, you say Achimelech. If you want to be derogatory to him, you say Ben Achitov. So he said, but what Malbim is pointing out is that's number one. He calls him that to denigrate him, but also to include the father in the rebellion, in the conspiracy, whatever you want to call that. And so he's saying that all of you are against me. Now, let's assume for 1 second the father's alive. This would be great. You could say that. But let's also say the father's dead. So why would you throw the father's name into that? And then you could argue that the father brought the kids up like that, to always be questioning authority, if you will. Okay, which is why today's generation, my generation, it was, even though our parents for the most part are not alive, I don't think I'm unique that both parents are passed away already, and so, but what they taught us is part of us, right? So their influence lives with us past their demise. So it could be either way. Either he was alive or dead. I'm not sure if Achituv was still alive, but it would be interesting that the Malbim's putting them together. Okay. So Vayomer Elav Shaul. So but he answers in a very nice way. Hineni, I'm here, prepared to help you out, whatever you want, Shaul. And that's what Hineni means. So Vayomer Elav. Shaul says to him, Lama kishartem alai. Here's your conspire. Why did you conspire against me? Ata uben Yishai, you and the son of Jesse. Betitcha lo lechem v'cherev, in giving him bread and the sword. V'shaul lo belokim, and you also asked the Orm V'tumim for him. To get up against me as an ambush, like this day. So he's asking why. This is the evidence against you. Again, the evidence against you is you gave bread and you gave the sword and you asked the Orm V'tumim what to do, and all these things are things that you should be doing only for the king. Shema doing it otherwise. You understand?
I was looking at something else. Repeat that if it's important.
It is. It's, you acted like he was king. When you asked the Orm V'tumim, you made him like a king, because you don't ask. You made David seem like he's a king.
Yeah.
I am the king. I, Shaul, am the king, not David. The only one
that... they have allegiance to only one person. And it'd be Saul.
No. Again. Shaul lo belokim. You asked the Orm V'tumim. You asked the breastplate. You asked the question to God using your breastplate. That is reserved for the Kohen Gadol, and that is reserved for the king. That is not reserved for a commoner. And when you asked on behalf of David, who was a commoner, you showed that you're part of the rebellion. Okay? So that's, again, he says you did three things. You gave my enemy food. Mm-hmm. You gave my enemy a sword. And you showed your allegiance to him versus me by asking the Orm V'tumim. There's three things against you. How do you plead? That's really what he's saying to him. You have three things against you. So he says, so the Shaul says, Malbim says, Shaul shehem in the Divrei Doeg, since Shaul believed the words of Doeg, v'chashav sheba el beit hakohen, and he believed, or he thought, that he came to the house of the Kohen, lo hutzrach l'sader davar keseder shahaya. He did not need to order the matter in this order. K'moshe ketuv, k'moshe amar Doeg, shutzrach l'zel chazek mal shenot, like in order that Doeg would strengthen the words of his slander. Rak Rakseda Avonatav. Rather, he only was ordering his sins, minakal elachamor, from the more lenient sin to the more stringent sin. Shenatan olechem, the first one, the easy one, was he gave him bread. V'yotamizeh, more than that, more stringent than giving him bread, was to give him the cherev, to give him the sword. V'yotamizeh, and more than that, the worst case scenario, the worst crime was sha'alo be'elokim, and to ask the Urim V'Tumim, to ask the breastplate, to ask God what he should do. V'chol zeh haya al tachlit sheyakum alai la'oriv kimuzeh, and all of this was for the purpose, the express purpose that you will rise against me as an ambush like this day. That this day that went out into actuality, and by doing it, you showed your allegiance retroactively. That's what he's saying to him. Okay. Now, really, let's go back to what really happened. Achimelech doesn't know. He was told by David, I'm on a secret mission from the king, and therefore I'm working for the king. So he's giving him food, he's giving him the sword.
He thought he was being allegiant.
And he's right. So and he's doing all this. But the way that Doeg said it was no. Achimelech was part of the rebellion. So again, the spin doctor, Doeg, is spinning the facts, what did happen, but he's spinning it in a way that's going to, it looks bad for Achimelech, and it increases the animosity towards David. And Shaul bought the story. Why wouldn't he? This is his trusted soldier. Okay, so Achimelech is not the criminal here, and actually Shaul isn't even the criminal here. Doeg is the criminal here. Doeg is the one who's doing who's setting everything up. Doeg is the problem.
What verse about are you in?
I'm going into, that was 13. I'm just pointing out from 13 that we have to understand who the problem is. Shaul is not the problem, and Achimelech is not the problem. Not even David is a problem. Doeg is a problem. Doeg is the one who's causing this whole conspiracy theory. He's what they call a conspiracy theorist. He's a conspiracy theorist going on here. He knows that Shaul is like this. He knows. He feels that regarding his emotional situation. He knows that he's ready to jump. He knows that they can get an enemy here, so he plays the game. So now the question would be, and I believe it will be answered later, but why is Doeg doing this? He doesn't stand to get the position on either side. Normally, when you want to do a conspiracy or you want to get people to make foolish mistakes, there's an uptick for you, right? When Haman wanted to get rid of the Jews, so Haman didn't start out as Haman. Haman started out as some lowly stable boy, but because he played the game right, he got to be the second in command. And really, he wanted to be the king. He didn't get it that far, but that's what he was looking for. He wanted to be equal to the king, which is why he says, and put the crown, that the guy walk with the crown, the king's crown. And the king was like, no, you want to be no. But again, you look at the storyline, that's really what Haman is doing. So the question is, what's Doeg's story? And like I said, I'm not sure where we pick that up, but there was a point where we pick it up to find out why he is against Shaul also. Because really, he's a troublemaker here.
I am looking, and I think it's back in verse 9. I was going to have you, or somebody, summarize in as few words as possible the nature of his spin.
Again, what happened was he used the facts that Achimelech gave David bread,
and sword,
sword, and asked the Urim V'Tumim. acting like David's a king. Acting like David's a king. He knows, Doeg knows that Shaul suspects David of nefarious actions. He's just using that to destroy both of them. And he won't take anybody in the wake. So if Achimelch is a, what do they call that? Collateral damage? Fine. No problem. He has an agenda. We have to know what his agenda is, which I know there's something there, but I don't remember what the agenda was. But sooner or later we'll find out, I'm sure. Okay.
Kind of like the popularity of Game of Thrones, all the manipulations of.
Okay, I don't know.
Knowing just what will set Shaul off, he knows the people involved.
But really, that's what it is. He sets up the story. It would be no different, by the way, than what we see in our modern day politics. Okay, I'm going to stay away from the Republicans. I'm going to go to the Democrats. Okay, because the Democrats is just so much more fun. Okay, but you have here. They're asking. I saw it on my Facebook. Well, who do you think would be a good president? So somebody said Mayor Pete, because of what he's done for the city. Now I'm sitting here, I'm saying, you've raised my taxes.
He's installed potholes in our streets.
We have potholes, and we have turnarounds, or rotary, what we call them in Boston rotaries.
You mean the roundabouts?
The roundabouts, we call roundabouts here, and which just slow everything down and cause more accidents than could ever be thought of, because people don't know how to properly use them. And so you haven't really done anything except to spend my money and raise my taxes. So, and that's what you think should be a good president? You're insane. Now, that's my spin, right? So that's my spin. So now anybody listen to me, Pete doesn't have a chance. On the other hand, if you listen to the other side, oh, he's beautified the city. He's got rid of all the riffraff from the west side. Not saying that he moved it downtown, but he got rid of it. Exactly. Again,
energy is not created or destroyed; it's transferred. It's just
no. Again, but that's the point. Depending on who the spin doctor is, will determine whether the guy is a hero or a villain. So, according you live.
So I wanted you to summarize.
That is a summarization.
He said in verse 9. He says, "I saw him doing something."
Right. So again, that's what he's saying, that he was part of the rebellion, and that he gave David all these things, knowing that he wasn't working for you. He was just giving it to him. That's all. Right. So as a result, he is he's the enemy.
He's part of the problem.
Right. That was a whole thing. There's a whole long piece here, but that is what basically is going on. He gave him everything. So he says he went to his house, and he said Achimelch took him to his house, which wasn't true. That was part of the story that was not true. Took him to his house to let him sit down.
When they gave him the bread and the sword,
they were in. He probably went to the place where they had in the temple part.
The table where the bread was.
Yeah. But as David came to him, he didn't invite him into the house. It wasn't all part. They were all sitting around saying, "Oh, let's figure out how to get this done." But Doeg paints a picture by using certain words and leaving other words out, that the person who's listening will now come up on their own to fill the blanks in, which is what we always do.
When David started his running, from what city did that? What city was he in?
I'm not sure. Maybe Ramah. That's where Saul was from. So maybe Ramah.
And how far about are we now?
I'm not sure.
The city?
I always say this. I'm lucky I know how to get from here to Mishawaka. Mm-hmm. So I have no idea.
Yeah, you weren't driving, and David knew.
I have no idea how far this is. You'd have to figure out how fast it's on horse, or however he's traveling, donkey or whatever. It's camel. I don't know how he's traveling, or by foot. I can't imagine he's going by foot either, though. I'm assuming that he at least has some sort of transportation.
I was wondering how close he was getting to a country's border.
He already crossed the border. He went to Gath. He already went
That's
there.
what I'm getting. I don't
Now
know.
he came back because they wanted to kill him.
Oh, they recognized him.
That was the other story. And he feigned madness. So then he got out. You don't stay in the country because they're going to figure out who you are. So then he came back. Now he's back in the home country. But in the home country, they also know who you are. But now you have to come up with a lot of stories. So he came up with a story, but he's going to go back into hiding. Okay. So then what happened? Oh, he actually went to hiding. He got his troops together. They all banded around him. Again, we're going back in the story. We know what happened to David. He escaped, and now he's surrounded by. He has 400 men, I think, with him, and so now Shaul has to. Now we know there's a real army. So now he has to do the investigation. Okay, what happened? How did we get here? And that's what I'm saying. That's where we are. Okay, so line 14, pasuk 14. Verse 14. Vayala Achimelech et Hamelech. So Achimelech answered the king. Vayomar, and he said, Mi b'chol avadecha keDavid Ne'eman, who is like all of your servants, as trustworthy as David. V'chatan Hamelech, and not only is he trustworthy, but he's also the son-in-law of the Melech. V'sar et el mashvatech v'nichvatecha, and he turns from all of your to all your, he listens to all of your words, and he is the most honored in your home. So he doesn't know what's going on here. Achimelech is looking and saying, what's wrong with David? David's, again, there's no Facebook, there's no New York Times, there's nothing going on. So if I'm out of the capital, if I'm out of your household, I don't know what's happening. So therefore, as far as I know, David is still a good guy. And he's telling him this. Again, there was no wanted, there's no...
And that David is still loyal to the king.
Yeah. He's your son-in-law. She's telling him he's honored in your house. So, the Metzudas David says, he explains this in a simple manner. He says, I did not rebel against, I didn't do any act of rebellion. Ki amarti, I said, Shaholechu b'derech hamelech. I said he's going in the service of the king, by the word of the king. Ki mikol, why? Why did I say that? Ki mikol avadecha evenem keDavid. Amongst all your servants, there's nobody as trusted as David, your servant. Ufsar me'az hayasar liyot nishmalach. And so then he turned that he would turn from listening to you to all that you commanded him. I never would have thought such a thing. That would be the simple way to say it. So now the Malbim also goes on this and says, where's it again? Yud Gimel. Right. Okay. So the Malbim says, Hey Ship, Achimelech answered, Shelo lo haya shum inyan sheyala v'dato. There was nothing that came up in his mind. David humorei, that David was in rebellion against his master. Kizeh haya efsha be'echad ba'arba'a me'arba upon him. Because he says that for 4 reasons. Im haya David boge betavo, if David was rebellious in his nature, that would be one thing. Yalzeh amar. David Ne'eman, he says, but David is the most trustworthy. He's trustworthy. And number 2, if if he appeared from his works that he was bitter against his master, that would be another reason for rebellion, but it's not true. And for that he said, he turned toward your guidance. And number 3, if his family was from the enemies of the king, that would be a reason for rebellion. And because of that, he's not an enemy, he's related to you, he's your son-in-law. And finally, number 4, umorit bichvodo, sheyutzar sheyimrod mitzah bakashato hakavod. If the king had lowered him from his honorable position, so then he would rebel because of his honor. And because of this, he says, "V'nichba betecha." He is the most honored in your house. So, for all those reasons, excuse me, for all those reasons, I didn't think he was going to rebel against you. V'im Cain, for if that's true, halo lo hayashum davar sheyalu v'dati. So there's no reason for it to go up in my mind. Shehu dato livroch that he had intent to flee and to rebel. Okay, so that's what Achimelch is saying. He's using logic. It doesn't make sense what you're saying, Raul. How can you say that he's rebellion? He's everything. He doesn't fit any of the requirements for rebellion. Okay? Again, he doesn't realize, Achimelech doesn't realize that devil would have reason. As far as he knows, he doesn't. But to quote you, when my father was trying to throw spears at me a couple of times.
Well, is Saul still running around with that spear, or has he set it down yet?
No, he still has a spear. That's his.
Everywhere he goes, there's that spear.
He has to have a spear. It's like when you go around with a gun, you know, you have to have a gun. Did you, little Joe on Bonanza, did he ever take the gun off? Never. Hoss didn't take it.
I don't think they took their boots off either.
I don't know, but they didn't take the guns off. Yeah. Gunsmoke always had his gun. Yeah, that's your weaponry. As a matter of fact, if you would have come on Tuesday, the day you missed, so we went through a very special class. You should catch it online. It was talking about walking out with weaponry on Shabbos. Can one walk out with weaponry, sword, mace as in the ball?
Were you talking about ancient or now?
Ancient. I'm talking about when the Talmud. Yeah. They didn't have a gun in those days, but the question would be a gun too. Is it ornamental? Is it protection? Can I carry it on Shabbos without an Eruv, with an Eruv, whatever the case is going to be? So that's the Tuesday class. So for all those who don't want to catch that,
give me the short answer.
Again, it comes down to there's no such thing as a short answer.
There's no yes or no.
When it comes to that, there is a yes or no, but there's no short answer to that. Everything has to be understood in its proper context. But there is an opinion that says you could walk out, and this opinion says you cannot walk out. And again, it comes down to, is it ornamental or is it a burden? Is it something that I'm not wearing it? It's not what I would normally wear. That's the question. Is it something I wouldn't normally wear, or something I would normally wear? So people wouldn't, in those days, normally wore a sword.
Well, suppose we change the word war to use.
No, war.
Why not use?
Because use is utilitarian.
But use what comes up with regard to Shabbat?
No, as a matter of fact, I'm allowed to walk out with a shirt and a tie and a jacket and so on and so forth. But what I cannot walk out with is something protecting my hat from the rain, an umbrella, which I'll be using to protect me from the rain.
You're carrying it at that point.
You are carrying it, correct? You're not allowed to carry. So the question is, can I carry the sword? Again, I don't want to get. I'll send you to that class. Okay, I'm just saying that's where it is, but that's what we're talking about here. So, in all these things, we're saying that what should I expect from David? He wasn't doing anything wrong. Okay?
What base does Erev come from?
I'm sorry?
Is it from this word here, to weave plots? You know, like it.
Erev is a mix. Right. Yeah.
But Erev is like evening, not Erev.
Erev is evening too. Erev means mixture. Ayin Resh Beit is mixture. So we call it evening Erev because it's a mixture between light and dark. It's a mixture. Then you have Lila. So you have Erev, Lila.
Then you ought to be able to use it at dawn or sun up as well, right? That's also Erev. It's also in the mixture.
Yeah.
Sort of.
Bein Arbayim would be dusk to, not dusk to dawn, from dawn, or sunset to dark.
Is there any reason to ask that question right now?
Because I use the word Erev.
Because, and it was in this, we have it in this passage.
Okay.
That word.
Okay, so let's go on. So he says, Hayom achiloti la sha'ulo be'elokim chalili. It says, today, when I began to ask about the Yom V'Tumim, would be. I would not. I never have done this in an act of rebellion. Al yasim hamelech ba'avdo davar b'chol beit avi. Do not put. The king should not put against his servant anything on the whole house of his father. Because your servant, he's talking about himself when he's saying your servant, didn't know anything. Davar chatan or gadol, whether it may be a big thing or maybe a small thing or a big thing. You're looking to the wrong guy. I didn't do anything wrong. So he says, so again, the simple way is hayom achilotim, ki hayom haya. Today was at Chalal Ish'alo Elokim, the day when I began to ask the Yom V'tum. Ve'alo me'az sha'alti lo. From then, surely from then I asked him, V'yot kihu haya hamotzi memevi, whether or not he should bring out or take in, whatever the case is going to be. Chalili, it would be it would be profane for me to do this in rebellion. I wouldn't have done that. Okay, so that's what he's arguing, and so also my whole household. We weren't part of this rebellion that you're speaking of. By the way, he's not condemning David either. Let's understand that he's not. Achimelech is not arguing against Shaul that there's rebellion. He's also not saying that David rebelled. He's staying totally neutral. He's giving a reason why he has a hard time understanding why he would have rebelled. He gave 4 reasons that don't make sense. Because for all 4 reasons, that all the normal 4 reasons which we numbered, they, namely, again, just to run through it one more time, because they're valid points. He said, where was it? 1, right here. If David was rebelling in his nature, if he was, because of his actions, he was bitter against his kingdom. Number 3, if the family was his family would have been an enemy of the king. And number 4, if the king had lowered him from his exalted status. None of those things happened with David. So he said, why would he rebel? There's no reason for him to rebel. You took him from a shepherd boy, you raised him up. Even if he was rich, who cares? You raised him up. You made him second in charge. There's no reason for rebellion here. And his family loves you. All the family was fighting for you. Again, Achimelech he's not going on his side. He's saying, I didn't know anything about this. It makes no sense to me, he's saying. I don't see it, he's saying, but you're the king. You're the king. I didn't do anything wrong. That's what he's saying. So the Malbim says on this, Hayom echalti l'shol ratzlim v'chi mash she'alti lo hayom hu pam rishon. That which I asked the Om V'tum, that was the first time. V'alzem achiloti. That's why he says it began. Hachi she'alti. And so he asked. I asked Hayom shenoda ki hu mored. Today to inform me if he was rebelling. V'im kain madua. I'm sorry. Hayom shenoda ki hu mored. And now today that I was informed that he's in rebellion. V'im kain madua techashdani. So why are you suspecting me? I didn't know anything before. Now today is the first time I heard he's being suspect for rebellion. I wouldn't have known that. Al yasim hamelech b'avdo davar b'chol beit. The king shouldn't put his servant and the whole household as rebellions. Ata miyaches elai davar ashma. You are miyaches is a genealogy. You are relating to me this matter of sin or guilt offering, guilt. And through how you referred to me, when you said the son of, you have included my whole family. Which is not true at all. No, we didn't know anything. You shouldn't include us. We have no idea what you are talking about. Okay? And so, okay, fine.
Where are you right now?
We are on 16. Vayomer HaMelech. The king said, Mot tamut, Achimelech. You will surely die, Achimelech. Ata v'chol beit avicha. You and your entire paternal household. You're all going to die. He didn't accept the words, and he said, done. You're through. So he said, Vayomer HaMelech. So the king said, L'ratzim hanisavim alav, to the ones who were running and who were stationed by him, Sovu v'hamitu kohanei Hashem, go and wipe out all of the Kohanim here. The Kohanim of Hashem, excuse me. Ki gam yadam im David, because also their hand is interesting again, is yadam, their hand as a unit. It's not yadehem, their hands. Yadam as a unit, their hand is with David, v'chi yadu ki barechu, because they knew he was fleeing, v'lo galu et asmi, and they didn't reveal to my ears, v'lo avu, and that's his reason. Okay, so they are in rebellion. Let's understand his words. They are in rebellion, and since they're part of the rebellion, I, as king, demand that you wipe them out, because they are my enemies. They're enemies of the state. As enemies of the state, we're obligated to blot them out. But the servants of the kings, there was a rebellion here against this. They didn't want to do it. They were thinking, no, you can't do this. Hashem. How are they going to how are they going to kill the priests of God? You crazy? You get it? You want to say to kill David, an individual. Okay, we can hear that. You want to say to kill his 400 men that live with him. Okay, we got that. We're going to wipe out a whole city of Kohanim who are servants of God. They're not part of the war. No. What do they call that sort of rebellion in the army? Insurrection? Insubordination.
What's mutiny? That's not
mutiny. Insubordination. They're not listening. They say, no, we can't do this. Lo avu, they didn't desire. They didn't want
It
to.
sounds like Nixon's Saturday Night Massacre.
Who?
Nixon.
Nixon had.
Dickie Bird.
I know who Nixon is.
It involved William Ruppel's house. He wanted somebody to fire somebody, and he said no, so we quit, and he got the next poor slob to fire him instead. I forget the names,
Okay.
but it happened.
That's before my.
I remember it.
Before my collective memory.
Oh.
I was very young when Nixon was the president, but and I also didn't care that much about the. Rumsfeld was with him, no? Who's Rumsfeld?
Rumsfeld was Bush's secretary.
Bush. Oh, there you go. That's as far as I get. Okay. I don't know all these people.
That's as far back as your memory goes.
my memory is presidential.
Political involvement.
You go back since the 1600s.
That's true, but I don't go back that far.
Oh.
I know the Tea Party. It was a good party. It was great.
Very fun.
It's a fun party. They were throwing things in.
You had to dress like an Indian.
You had people throwing tea into the
parties.
right. You had people throwing tea into the harbor. It was a great thing.
Sure.
Okay.
Bring your own sugar.
Right. Okay. So he. Where is it? So he says, "Ki Adam im David." So olachol apachot, or at least yadu kebeyecho. Even if your hand wasn't with David, they knew. Even if their hand wasn't with David, the Malbim says they knew that he was running away. V'chayav mita al shelo galu adazim, and therefore they were chayav to die. They were obligated for the death penalty for not telling me. V'lo avu v'lo avinu hadavar sheker. They did not believe, or did not understand that this matter was a lie. So, I'm sorry, because they understood it. I'm sorry. They didn't want to because they knew the matter was a lie. They knew the whole thing was false. So that, again, the armed forces is an interesting situation here. The armed forces that are going with Shaul, loyal to Shaul. They're loyal. And by the way, Rashi identifies who are we talking about? Avner and Amashahayu. They were Avner, again, not small fries. Avner and Amashu, v'lo avu because they, as the Malbim says, because they did not believe. They knew it was a lie. They knew the story that was being woven was a lie, because Achimelech made sense. Again, Achimelech, for any logical person out there, it made 100% truth to what he was saying. So only if I'm emotionally charged with this and not willing to listen because I trusted somebody else and I really wanted to believe what they were saying, so then logic means nothing. But for the casual observer, logic does mean everything.
All right, so Achimelech was killed along with the 85.
We didn't get there yet. Okay. We're going to get there. Don't worry. I want to build the story. That was 17. He didn't kill him yet. They didn't want to kill him in 17. 18.
Oh, 18.
Vayomer Melech LaDoeg. So now the king says to Doeg, so Vatal forgot the Kohanim, you turn around and you killed the Kohanim, and without any second thoughts. Vayisov Doeg Hadomi. So Doeg went and Vayifkahu Kohanim, and he hit the Kohanim. V'yamed gam bayomahu shvonim v'chamisha ish nose ephod bal. And on that day he killed the 85 men who were carrying the linen ephod, the linen belt. So he says, Kol echad mehem hayu nose ephod. Each one of them would have this linen belt. V'hu malbush k'mechubad. It was an honorable article of clothing. Yubashu oto of the Hashem. Anybody who was an Ovid Hashem, who was servant of Hashem, would wear that. Okay, fine. And then so the Malbim says, so vata ata l'dvarecha chayav mita. He went to Doeg. Why did he go to Doeg? Because he said, you are the one that brought the report to me. Since you are the one that brought the report to me, you're and that they were obligated to die. So good. Yada Edom, it says in the Torah, Yada Edom tiyeh b'rishana, that the hand of the witnesses should be against the guilty first. So you are the one that told me, kill them.
After his own people had refused.
After Avner and right. Yeah. After the other ones had refused, he goes to Doeg.
Did he have people? It said he, but did he have any soldiers himself? Did he have anybody?
It doesn't seem to. It seems to be that he was alone in the action. So then
it takes a while to kill 85 people. You'd think it would give an 84 time to escape. It takes a while to kill that many people.
Yes, it does. I'm not sure if he had an army with him or if he did it himself.
I was wondering, that's why I keep getting ahead here, from verses 17 to 19. How many people did that involve? And where were they? We have footmen, we have Kohanim, we have the victims, we have... that's a lot of people involved between 17 and 19. I don't know if they're all in the same place.
Yeah, well here, I'll finish off here so we all know what we're talking about. We had Nob Ira Kohanim, and Nob, the city of Kohanim, he Kalafi Charav, was smitten by the sword. Meisha ad ishav, from man to woman. Me'olel ad yoneg, from nursing, from one who was nursing to the nurser, the baby. Right, there you go. V'shor v'chamor v'ser lefi charav, and also the ox and the donkey and the sheep according to, by the sword. Okay, so Malbim says we had no Laman Yishmo and why they do this? In order that the nation should hear v'yiru and be afraid, lo yachziku yad yadei David, and that way they will not strengthen the hands of David. So according to that, by the way, it's going to change as we go along. I'll give you that heads up. That did they really wipe everybody out or not? So the question, the answer is going to be the Gibeonites who were working for the Kohanim in the city of Nob, they were not killed. Only the priests were killed. But when they were killed, the service stopped in Nob. That caused massive unemployment. Tell me what this says later on.
Losing Studebaker.
Right, it causes massive unemployment, and as a result, people to have no place to go because they were only water carriers, they were only water drawers, they were working for that. So as a result, they suffer. And that is why later on when David is king, so we're talking probably 10 years later, there's going to be a drought, and it's all because they never compensated these Gibeonites, and this was God's punishment to them until they finally hang the Gibeonites demand that the children of Saul be hanged, not hung, right? Hanged, and they are, and they're left there hanging until finally the rain comes, and that's when David says, okay, cut them down. And then he says the Gibeonites can never become part of the Jewish people because they're cruel. But that's how he ends it off. So, but really we see from there that the Gibeonites were not killed off. So not the entire town was not wiped out. What happened was because the economy crashed, that's what we'll learn later on, because the economy crashed, that's why these Gibeonites who weren't killed by the sword.
They weren't Jewish either, or were they?
No.
Right.
They were servants they were people who made a treaty. Again, that's going back to the book of Joshua. Joshua, going back to the book of Joshua, where we see that the Gibeonites came in, disguising themselves and so on and so forth, but there's a whole treaty that's, again, it's online. By all means, follow it. Joshua, the book of Joshua, beautiful series, go for it. Okay. But that's where it is, and all you do is look there, and you'll see how that works, that the Gibeonites, again, became part of us as far as treaties go, but did not convert. They weren't allowed to convert, and after the episode with David, never allowed to convert into the Jewish people.
Had they expressed interest in becoming among us, or they were perfectly happy to be who they were?
It wouldn't have mattered after David. Even if they would want to convert, we would not. Now, we don't know who the Gibeonites are today, but if we would know who they were, we would never be able to convert them because of what David did there. But they were willing to stay with as they were. They were simple water carriers. That's what happened because it was a whole thing. Again, you have to go back to Joshua for that. But we're seeing the effect of that. We will see the effect of that. So that's who was really wiped out. So we know that 85 were wiped out. As far as how it was done, did Doeg have an army or not? I don't know. Once he wipes out 85, which wouldn't really take that long if they're lining up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just how many times does it take to stab a person or to cut their head off, whatever, how he was killing them. And then after that, it's just a matter of wiping out the town. Anybody could have done that. Then they could have got the army because it's already done. You already wiped out the people. So now let's destroy. It could have been his foot soldiers. What we're seeing is that his army, his Avner and Amasa, who were heads of the army, were saying no. It's only Doeg who took up. So maybe his armed forces came in with him because he's a general. Again, you don't want so much insurrection. You see, they're wiping out innocent people. You're going to be next. So you have to watch out for Saul. You don't know what Saul's doing. Saul holds this, again, nobody's seeing him insane. They just know that he wants to get rid of David. That's all. Nobody's seeing him as insane. If they would, so that may be a different picture. But Doeg is certainly using that. We'll have to stop here. But Doeg is certainly using that he knows that Saul is really trying to get David.